How to be handsome. Today's video is all about male grooming 101, especially for Indian guys. There's a lot of male grooming videos out on the internet, but none really for the average young Indian guy who deals with issues like acne, issues like oily skin, issues like scruffy hair, issues like high humidity in this country. That's what you need to remember. So I'll be giving you my top 7 easy points when it comes to basic male grooming for the everyday guy. No fancy products involved, no fancy techniques involved, just everyday things in order to look handsome, but more importantly, in order to look clean and tidy. A lot of guys think that looking handsome is just about your looks, what you're born with. But in truth, looking handsome boils down to how neat and tidy you look. So if you want to impress ladies, if you want to look attractive to the average Indian woman, it's all about looking clean, looking like you've had a bath. So let's get started with point number 1, the most important point. Haircuts. Haircuts affect your face structure, but more importantly, they affect how scruffy you look. Especially if you've got hair like mine, which is a little bit rough, which a lot of Indian guys have. It's not a great idea to grow out your hair. Unless you've got silky smooth hair like how John Abraham used to have, that's when you can actually grow your hair long. But if you want to look neat and classy at the same time, go for the golden haircut. That's a slightly long top and a slightly short side. Think of most good-looking athletes, Virat Kohli, Cristiano Ronaldo, Olivier Giroud, Robin van Persie, they all follow this protocols with different ratios. What do I mean by ratios? Some people go for slightly longer tops and short sides. Some people go for slightly longer sides and not such long tops. But at the end of the day, it's a basic blueprint. You need to figure out a haircut that suits your face and face structure perfectly. But the most important rule is to just look neat and tidy. Remember, women associate cleanliness with looking good, and that's why we're moving on to tip number 2. Tip number 2, we're talking about facial hair, but more importantly, getting your facial hair game correct, which is something that a lot of young dudes do wrong especially. There's only 3 ways of doing that. Either you grow out your beard entirely and then take care of it, which is another whole beard grooming tutorial. We're not going to talk about that today. Secondly, you can choose to stylize your beard. Go for a goatee, go for a soul patch. But whatever happens, don't ever go for a mustache, especially if you're a young guy. You might think that it makes you look older, but in truth, you just look like a child molester. 2017 is not the time of mustaches. Mustaches are very historic in my opinion. And the safer way of doing things, the golden way, the evergreen way of doing things is going clean shaven. Remember, today's video is all about being handsome and nothing says clean and tidy like being clean shaven. So let's talk a little bit about some quick shaving tips and why an important piece of shaving gear is very, very crucial. That's also where today's video sponsor, the Gillette Mark III Turbo, comes into play. Keep in mind, I only sponsor products which I believe in 100% and which I use myself. Now, I'm a fan of this razor for 3 practical reasons. Firstly, the blades are extremely strong and durable, and that means you don't have to replace them often. That way you're saving money. Secondly, the grip on this is absolutely gorgeous. Especially if you're in a hurry and you're trying to shave fast, that's where a great quality grip can save you from being cut. And finally, the blades are mounted on a spring. So if you're going for a precision shave where you're trying to stylize with precision, or if you're someone who's got pimples and you want to avoid shaving over your pimples, that's where a good quality razor can absolutely kill it for you. Remember, if it's a good quality product, Beer Biceps is always going to give it a thumbs up. But moving on to tip number 3. Tip number 3. We are talking about secondary facial hair. What do I mean by that? So you've got your primary facial hair on your mustache, your beard, but there's also secondary facial hair that a lot of people notice, especially if you've not taken care of it. Namely, on the ears, a lot of Indians get a lot of hair growing out of their ears, and once again, you can just use your regular razor to shave all of it off. Secondly, we're talking about nose hair. The solution is to take a super narrow, super sharp pair of small scissors and go and just trim it off. And thirdly, very importantly, keep in mind this is not at all girly. Stop telling yourself that. But every single guy should own a pair of tweezers. This is something that I've stolen from my sister, but it's come very handy in the last 4 to 5 years. So a lot of guys have hair growing here in the middle of their eyebrows. A lot of Indian dudes have a unibrow. Now you might think that this isn't really a big issue, but trust me, a unibrow can absolutely ruin your handsome game. And to use this, it's very simple. You just get a good quality pair of tweezers. A good quality one will come for about 100 or 200 rupees. You just need to make sure it's sharp. So how do you make sure it's sharp? When you join the two ends of the tweezers, they should match exactly. And if they match, that's your pair of tweezers. So basically what you do is that you just go for the super thick hairs in between your eyebrows. What you don't want to do is entirely clean shave that area between your eyebrows, especially if you're someone who has a thick unibrow. Then it becomes obvious what you've done. So when you're tweezing just your unibrow, you need to leave a little bit of hair, a few strands of hair, just so that it looks natural. At the end of the day, your face needs to look like it's got two eyebrows and not one. Tip number 4, basic face cleanliness. As you can see here, my eyes, my face, all of it looks a little bit oily. Now I've taken care of all my facial hair, my secondary facial hair, but now it's time to actually take care of your face. How do you go from looking sleepy like this to looking slightly more fresh? Your first weapon is a basic face wash. So you just rub it between your hands and then you proceed to spread it all over your face and all over your neck. What is the point of doing this? Basic mild face wash just helps in getting rid of all the oil. If oil accumulates on your skin, that's what increases the total amount of pimples you will get. Remember, if you're a young guy, if you're in your teens, if you're in your early 20s, and especially if you're someone who goes to the gym, you're more prone to acne. So just washing your face twice a day, in the morning, right after you get up, and at night, 1 or 2 hours before bedtime, can do a huge deal for preventing and minimizing your acne. I'm not going to get into the details of how to wash your face because that's a separate video by itself, but for now I'll quickly go over it. Just make sure that your face wash is rubbed deep into your skin and wash it off with tepid water. Tepid is basically room temperature. So you take a little bit of water first, get it to be a little bit bubbly, make sure you're washing it well, and then just get rid of it. See how it's looking much cleaner already? It's because I've got rid of all the excess oil and sebum on my face. Now this is great for everyday use, just wash your face twice a day. But what if you want to take it a little bit further? What if you're going for an important office meeting? Or what if you're going for a party? You want to take this neatness level even further. And that's why tip number 5 comes in, a bonus skincare routine. Since I have oily skin, I'm not a huge fan of using moisturizer every day. Using too much of this actually blocks your pores and causes even more acne. Remember, at the end of the day, just like with something like fitness, you have to figure out your own skincare routine. But a bonus skincare routine is only to be used on occasion. Like if you're going for a party or an important meeting and you don't want to look oily and grungy, that's when you can use this. So I've just got a basic moisturizer here and I've got a baby powder here. The moisturizer moisturizes, rehydrates your skin. And speaking about the baby powder, why are we going for baby powder and not regular talcum powder? Because this has very fine granules. The granules aren't coarse and they don't block your pores. Remember, too much of baby powder can definitely hurt you as well. But once in a while, if you're just trying to look a little extra neat, if you're going for a party or a wedding, this kind of skincare routine really helps. I'm not a fan of using this every single day, but once in a while, it can make a subtle difference. Something like this. Just a little moisturizer, a little baby powder can do a lot of difference for how oily your skin looks. Keep in mind, I've put a little way too much in this case, and also keep in mind that there is a solution. If you've put too much, just wipe it down with a slightly wet cloth and you're good to go. Perfect for basic men's makeup. A lot of people might think that this is a little too metrosexual, but this is the closest thing you can get to makeup. But enough about face grooming, because looking handsome, keep in mind, is not just about your face. Tip number 6, boys, we're talking about being handsome outside of just your face. Why do I say that? Because for guys, a woman who's pretty, it's primarily about her face. But for girls, it's more about cleanliness, tidiness, as I've spoken about in today's video. And one of the ways women gauge cleanliness is by looking at your feet and by looking at your hands. You don't really need to concentrate on your feet, because if you go for a party, you're not really exposing your feet. But your hands, on the other hand, are always exposed. So what do you want to do? It's very simple. As your first standard school teacher told you, just keep your nails short, that's it. Remember, these kind of little rules about keeping your nails short, removing the dirt from inside your nails, filing your nails are very, very crucial in your long-term game when it comes to looking handsome. That's why tip number 6 is super simple. If you want to convey cleanliness, all you want to convey are clean nails and clean hands. Make sure your hands are clean. If you're someone who goes to the gym and you have these calluses, it's not really considered unattractive universally, but some women might consider it a little bit unattractive. If you want to take care of your hands, of those calluses, just use a little bit of moisturizer and rub it in your hands. It gets rid of the calluses. And finally, moving on to the final tip, tip number 7, not really about your physical body, but more about the perception of handsome. As I spoke about in my previous video, we're talking about men's fragrances. So why are fragrances and smell such a big factor in looking handsome? Primarily because women associate you with the way you smell. So especially in first encounters, first impressions, you need to go in with a little bit of perfume sprayed on yourself. So if you want to know more about the science of perfumes and how to apply perfumes for a beginner, make sure you check out my Fragrances 101 video. And if you want to know more about the dressing side of things, the fashion side of things, make sure you check out my men's style playlist. This is Ranveer, that's my Instagram handle, and until next time guys, on Beer Biceps, we will see you later.